Hello and assalamualaikum from my side. My name is Syed Mahad I'm a 12-year-old student from my school on academy. Level 1 batch 7. What is happening to my background? We just, yeah. So, we have another topic to discuss about today with ChatGPT. Um, and it's basically about uh, why it's dangerous to stay in your comfort zone because, a lot of people, I mean, everybody, I think, if they're not a nerd, they would definitely try to stay in their comfort zone. But one thing is that like nobody can stay in the comfort zone ever if they want to live, if they want to grow. Like literally, you gotta work even for a single piece of bread or even like having a liter of water with you. You need to uh get out of the comfort zone, go outside, do work. So basically like that stuff. So you're basically staying in a bubble, and in that bubble you're just basically laying down. And outside of the bubble, you need to work a little, and then you can have a reward. So it's basically like that. So let's quickly share my screen. Here it is, ChatGPT. I'll just quickly go in the voice mode right now. Just a sec. Mm, just a sec. Okay. Prepare a little. Yeah. Uh, so let's just quickly use the voice mode. Hey ChatGPT, I'm back with another AI session or whatever to talk with you. And today I have to talk about my topic is basically
Hey,
how to like why it's dangerous to stay inside of the comfort zone because like people are, if you want to grow, you want to learn, you want to even live life, then you gotta get out of that comfort zone and start working, start doing stuff. I mean, there's no possibilities like in a like uh there's no
yeah,
possibilities inside of the bubble of the comfort zone. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be talking about, and I have a bunch of questions. I hope you're ready, and let's get started. So my first question would be, what exactly is a comfort zone, and why do people like to stay in it, or some even do stay in it?
that's a great starting point. So, a comfort zone is basically a mental or behavioral space where we feel safe and at ease. It's like doing what we already know. People stay there because it's comfortable. It requires less effort, less risk, and fewer unknowns. So, even though it might hold them back from growth, they often stay in it because it feels easier in the short term.
If you could reach the maximum length of questions, it would be much better.
Absolutely. So, to expand on that, a comfort zone is really a kind of psychological state. It's not just about physical routines, but also mental patterns. People like to stay in it because it reduces anxiety. When you already know what to expect, you avoid uncertainty, and that's super reassuring. But the problem is, by doing the same things over and over, you limit your potential. So, if you stay in that bubble, you don't develop new skills, you don't take on challenges, and you don't discover what you're really capable of. So, stepping outside, even if it feels risky, is really how people grow, innovate, and find new opportunities in life.
Okay. Can you go a little deeper? I would really appreciate it.
Of course. So, if we go even deeper, the comfort zone is almost like a protective bubble your brain creates because it wants to minimize effort and risk. Evolutionarily, staying in safe, predictable patterns was essential for survival. But in modern life, that same instinct can keep you from taking on new careers, making big changes, or even trying new hobbies. So, when you step out, even if it's just a small step, like a new class, a different social circle, or a new habit, you're actually rewiring your mindset. And over time, that pushes you toward bigger risks, bigger rewards, and a much more fulfilling life because you've proven to yourself that you can handle uncertainty.
Alright, so why does staying comfortable often stop you from personal goals?
Yeah, that's a huge one. So when you stay comfortable, you're essentially reinforcing the same habits and patterns that keep you exactly where you are. And personal goals, whether it's building a new skill, pursuing a passion, or growing emotionally, require change, and change naturally disrupts comfort. Staying comfortable means you're not really pushing yourself, so you don't develop resilience, you don't adapt to setbacks, and you don't build the confidence needed to achieve bigger goals. In short, comfort stalls progress because growth lies just outside of that familiar space.
A deeper explanation. I said that I would uh like every answer that you give me, uh like your replies to be the maximum length that you can basically reach, because I would like that a lot. I need longer questions, so please.
Absolutely. I got you. Let's really dig deep. So, when we talk about comfort stopping personal goals, it's often because comfort zones create a loop of predictability. Every time you stay in what you know, your brain gets a dopamine hit from that certainty. So, even when it's unfulfilling, it feels easier to stay put. But the danger is that personal goals demand discomfort. They demand learning, vulnerability, and failure. And each time you avoid that, you kind of cement a ceiling on yourself. So, the deeper issue is that comfort can become a self fulfilling prophecy. You never see what you can achieve because you never take the risks needed to break out. And over time, that can lead to regret because you realize that all along the potential was just waiting on the other side of that comfort boundary. So, growth isn't just a nice concept, it's a necessity for fulfilling those goals.
All right. Now I would uh go for the next question. How can comfort zones slowly limit your potential?
Yeah, that's a really important point to unpack. Comfort zones limit potential slowly because they create this subtle inertia. At first, it might feel harmless, just a day of doing what you know, a week without big risks, but over months and years, that stagnation accumulates. You stop challenging yourself, you avoid new experiences, and you stick with what's familiar. And because of that, your capacity stays capped. Your creativity, skills, and confidence don't get to expand. So while you might feel stable, you're gradually reducing your chance of discovering your full potential. In other words, potential is like a muscle. If you don't exercise it by stepping out of comfort, it never fully grows.
Okay. Now my next question would be, why do people fear stepping into the unknown?
That's a really fundamental question. People fear stepping into the unknown because it's inherently uncertain. Our brains are wired to avoid unpredictability. When you don't know what's ahead, there's a natural sense of threat. Your mind imagines worst case scenarios, and that sparks anxiety. On top of that, stepping into the unknown often means losing control or giving up a familiar anchor. So we fear failure, embarrassment, or just wasting effort. But what's interesting is that once people do take that step, often they realize the fear was bigger than the reality. And that's where growth begins, when you realize you can handle the unknown.
I would like a better explanation of that, please.
Of course. So, when we look at why people fear the unknown, we have to consider that humans evolved to prioritize safety. Uncertainty once meant physical danger, so our brains still interpret unknown situations as a risk, even if they aren't. When we face something unfamiliar, like a new job, a new city, or a skill, we lose the predictability that our comfort zone offers. And that lack of predictability triggers our imagination, often filling us with worst case scenarios. The irony is that same fear of the unknown, once confronted, is what often fuels the most profound growth. Because when we start navigating uncertainty, we build resilience, creativity, and a broader sense of what's possible. So that fear is a signal, a challenge that, when faced, can unlock the greatest versions of ourselves.
Okay. How does discomfort lead to growth and improvement?
That's a really powerful connection to make. Discomfort is kind of like a signal that you're on the edge of a breakthrough. When you step into discomfort, like trying something new or confronting fear, you're forcing yourself to adapt. The brain, when challenged, actually rewires, creating new neural pathways. You learn to solve problems, to persevere, and to build confidence. Over time, that discomfort becomes a teacher. You discover you're more resilient, more capable, and you expand what you thought was possible for yourself. So every time you face discomfort, it's like a muscle test. If you push through it, you grow stronger, more capable, and ultimately you get closer to the best version of yourself.
Okay, so my next question would be, what's the difference between comfort and laziness?
That's a really interesting distinction to make. Comfort is about a sense of safety and stability. It's when you feel content in a familiar space, but it's not always bad. Comfort can be a healthy recharge, a moment of rest, or a place to build confidence. Laziness, on the other hand, is a lack of willingness to act or put in effort, often due to avoidance or distraction. Laziness tends to be a passive choice, avoiding tasks even when you know you could act, while comfort is more a temporary state before you push forward. In short, comfort supports balance and recovery, but laziness blocks progress because it keeps you from taking any action at all.
I would like a better explanation of that, please.
Of course, let's really break it down. Comfort is actually a natural human need. We all need moments to feel secure, to rest, and to stabilize. It's a kind of baseline where we can reflect, recharge, and build confidence in small steps. Laziness, by contrast, is more of a conscious avoidance. It's when we have the ability, but we don't make the effort, often because we're trying to escape discomfort or delay a job. So, the key difference is that comfort is a balanced pause. It can give you energy to prepare for growth, while laziness is a passive resistance to growth. In other words, comfort can actually help you prepare for the next step, whereas laziness keeps you stuck because it's about avoiding any progress altogether.
Okay, so how can small risks help you expand your comfort zone?
Yeah, exactly. Small risks are like stepping stones. Each time you take a tiny risk, maybe it's speaking up in class, applying for a new opportunity, or learning a new skill, you're pushing the boundary of what feels familiar. And as you do that, each small risk stretches your comfort zone outward. You realize, hey, I can handle a little uncertainty, and that confidence builds. Over time, you realize that what once felt intimidating is now just a normal part of your everyday. So small risks are like little sparks that ignite bigger changes, gradually expanding what you believe you're capable of.
Okay, now
I'm glad that.
my next question would be, why do successful people constantly challenge themselves?
That's a great question. Successful people often challenge themselves because they understand that comfort is a ceiling on potential. Each time they push themselves, whether it's by setting a bigger goal, taking on a tough project, or learning a new skill, they expand their capacity. They know that growth happens at the edge of what they've already achieved. So by constantly seeking new challenges, they keep themselves from stagnating. In fact, they see discomfort as a kind of friend, an indicator that they're growing, innovating, and staying ahead.
I would like a better explanation of that, please, because we again didn't went so long. Hello, hello. Oh, ChatGPT, I think has gone crazy or something, or it's my internet. Let me just refresh the page, guys. Alright. Yeah, so my next question would be, how can staying too comfortable affect your confidence over time?
Yeah, that's a really big one. So when you stay too comfortable for a long time, your confidence can actually shrink because you never prove to yourself that you can handle bigger challenges. Every time you avoid risks, you reinforce a belief that you're only capable of what you already know. And confidence is built by taking action, by saying that you can solve problems, handle setbacks, and grow. So over time, staying too comfortable kind of narrows your sense of what you can do, and you might underestimate yourself. But once you break out, you rebuild that confidence step by step because you see proof of your own ability.
Can I have a better explanation, please?
Of course. So think of confidence like a muscle. When you keep yourself in a comfortable bubble, you don't give that muscle any chance to flex. At first, you might feel fine, but over time, every new opportunity feels bigger, scarier, and harder. You stop trusting yourself and you start relying on the safety of the familiar. So you never see what you're really capable of. But when you take small risks, even if they fail, you get this proof that you can adapt, recover, and improve. So by staying too comfortable, your confidence atrophies, but by stepping out, you give yourself real experiences that remind you you can handle more than you think.
Okay. Now, what are signs that you are stuck in your comfort zone?
Yeah, that's really important to recognize. Some signs might be feeling like every day is pretty predictable. There's no new challenges or risks. You might notice a lack of motivation, or you feel a sense of boredom, even if you're busy. Another sign is procrastination. You keep saying, I'll do it tomorrow, or you avoid starting new things. You might also notice that your growth or learning has plateaued. You don't feel stretched, and you're not gaining new skills. If you recognize any of those, that's a sign you might be in a comfort zone, and it might be time to shake things up.
Alright. Now, how can fear of failure keep you trying for new things?
That's a really relatable feeling.
Assalamu
Failure can
alaikum
feel really
friends, मैं हूं
discouraging,
हबीब
especially if
वजीर
you
और
tie it to your self worth. But the key is to reframe it. Failure isn't a dead end, it's actually feedback. Every time you fail, it's a chance to learn what didn't work, adjust your approach, and keep going. So successful people aren't immune to failure, they just see it as a natural part of progress. If you keep trying, even after setbacks, you build resilience. And that resilience is what eventually pushes you beyond the fear of failure.
Okay. Um,
Yeah,
why
exactly. And
is
it's totally.
discomfort necessary for learning new skills?
That's a great point. Discomfort is really necessary because when you're learning something new, your brain is stretched. It's not on autopilot anymore. That awkward feeling means you're grappling with uncertainty, and that's exactly where growth happens. When you're comfortable, you rely on old habits, but discomfort forces you to problem solve, experiment, and adapt. So even though it feels hard in the moment, that struggle is actually your brain forming new pathways, and that's how skills grow through discomfort.
Okay. How can you train yourself to enjoy challenges?
Yeah, that's a really valuable skill to build. One way is to reframe challenges as opportunities, not threats. So instead of thinking I might fail, try thinking I get to learn something new. You can also break big challenges into small, manageable steps. So each time you succeed at a small hurdle, it builds confidence. And keep a growth mindset. Remind yourself that challenges are where you improve. So even if it feels tough, it's just a step in your development. With practice, you start to actually enjoy that stretch because you see yourself getting better.
Okay. How can stepping out of your comfort zone build confidence?
Yeah. So when you step out of your comfort zone, you prove to yourself that you can handle uncertainty and new challenges. Each time you push through that discomfort, you gain evidence that you're capable. So even if things don't go perfectly, you realize, hey, I survived that. I didn't crumble. And that builds trust in yourself. Over time, those small wins accumulate, and you see, I can do this, I can grow. So confidence isn't just about feeling good, it's about having real proof that you've expanded what you can do. And that belief fuels future growth.
Okay. Why do people regret not taking risks later in life?
Yeah, that's really common. As people look back, they often regret the chances they didn't take. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the outcome, it's about the fact that they never really tried. They might wonder, what if I had gone for that job? Or what if I had started that project? And those untested possibilities become this kind of weight. So when people take risks, even if they fail, they know they gave themselves a shot. And that sense of having tried often outweighs any fear of failure.
Okay. Uh, how
Yeah,
can
exactly.
routines become traps inside instead of helpful habits?
That's a really good point. So, routines start out as helpful. They give you structure and consistency, but over time, if you stop questioning them, they can become automatic and limiting. You might just go through the motions without noticing that you're not growing or that you're not challenging yourself. So a routine can become a trap if you don't periodically reflect. If you never ask, is this still serving me? Is it still aligned with my goals? So the key is to stay mindful. Keep adjusting so your routines support growth and not just comfort.
Can I have a long explanation?
Of course. So, routines are super useful because they give your day structure. They reduce decision fatigue and they help you stay consistent with good habits. But the risk is if you just follow them on autopilot, you might stop growing. You rely on the comfort of the familiar, so you never step outside and explore new possibilities. Over time, that stagnation can dull your curiosity or keep you from seizing bigger opportunities. So, the trick is to regularly check in. Ask yourself, is this routine aligned with where I want to go? If not, you tweak it, add a new challenge, or introduce variety. That way, your routines stay dynamic. They still give you structure, but they also keep you moving forward.
Okay. What
Yeah,
mindset
exactly.
shift helps you embrace uncertainty?
That's a great question. A big mindset shift is moving from seeing uncertainty as a threat to seeing it as a natural part of growth. Instead of asking, what if I fail? You ask, what can I learn from this? You start to see uncertainty as a space of possibility, an open door, not a closed one. And you also remind yourself that even if the outcome is uncertain, you still have the ability to adapt, problem solve, and figure things out. So uncertainty stops being a barrier and starts being a pathway to growth.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
like,
And once you start
how can pushing your limits improve your mental strength?
Yeah, that's a really powerful connection. When you push your limits, whether it's trying something difficult, setting bigger goals, or facing fear, you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can handle challenges. That builds mental resilience. You become more comfortable with discomfort and you learn that setbacks don't define you. They're just part of the process. Over time, that confidence in your ability to rise to challenges translates into a stronger mindset. You become less easily overwhelmed, more adaptable, and better equipped to handle setbacks in the future.
Okay. How can
Yeah,
trying new experiences change your perspective on life?
That's a great question. So, when you try new experiences, you get exposed to different ways of thinking, different people, and different challenges. And that broadens your frame of reference. Suddenly, things you thought were impossible or out of reach feel more attainable. You start seeing your life in a bigger context, and that can spark gratitude, creativity, and even purpose. So, each new experience kind of flips a switch, helping you see beyond your old boundaries and giving you a deeper appreciation of what's possible.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why is
exactly. And it's
growth impossible without the same level of discomfort?
That's a really interesting thought. So, discomfort is kind of like a catalyst for innovation and growth. Without it, we tend to stick to what we already know, so we limit ourselves. When we're willing to lean into that discomfort, whether it's a tough conversation, a new skill, or a big risk, we unlock potential we didn't even know we had. So, without that same level of discomfort, a lot of our biggest breakthroughs, whether personal or professional, just wouldn't happen.
Okay. Now, how can you balance uh how can you balance discomfort and challenge in daily life?
Yeah, that's a really important balance to strike. You can do it by giving yourself small comfort breaks, like a little routine or stability so you recharge, but also schedule intentional challenges. Set a small daily stretch goal, something slightly outside your comfort zone, and keep checking in. If you feel overwhelmed, pull back a bit. If you feel bored, add a little more challenge. By staying mindful, you keep a healthy ebb and flow. Comfort gives you a foundation, and challenge keeps you growing.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
would
And by
be
doing
my last question. How can you no, how can failure outside your comfort zone become a valuable experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you fail outside your comfort zone, it's really valuable because it gives you direct evidence of what didn't work. And that failure is a kind of feedback loop. It shows you what assumptions you had, where your limits were, and what you need to adapt next time. So instead of seeing failure as a dead end, it becomes a guide, one that helps you build resilience, refine your approach, and ultimately it pushes you closer to success because you now have real lessons from trying something new.
Okay, so that's a ChatGPT. Uh, I hope you liked this session or talking with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll meet you in another one. Till then, even if you're an AI, take care of yourself, and I'll meet you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our conversation too. Take good care of yourself, and I'll be here whenever you want to chat again. Bye for now.
Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Like for Make sure to like if you like this video. Subscribe for more videos like this. Why do I look so? Oh, because of my hair. I'll meet you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye, and Allah Hafiz for my